Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to PriMath Zoom Live. I am Miss Shanieka, and it's lovely to see you all here. As you join, go ahead and type hello in the chat so I know that you're here with me. So go right ahead and type hello in the chat. Hi, Angie, Nikela, hi. Hi, Rooms. Hi, Aldion, Judine, Jordan, Relisha, Rosemary, Carissa, Yashima King, Carolyn. Hello, welcome to you all. Doreen, Shante, Julianne, Paula. Welcome. Nor, welcome. Devon Lodge, welcome. Ricky, welcome. Dijon, Doreen, Yvonne. Welcome, guys. Now, as you're here, I want to let you know what we will be exploring today. So this is our first lesson as we explore some curriculum-based tasks to help you to prepare for your PEP, one of your first PEP exams in April. So to be prepared, I want everyone to get your pencil and your notebook so you can be ready to solve problems with me. Everyone must have their pencils and the notebook ready so we can all work together. I'll be expecting to see some answers in the chat, and we will have a good time exploring math today. We're going to start in about 1 to 2 minutes. So take this time to invite a friend by sending them the link to this lesson so they too can benefit, as well as if you are joining us for the first time. I know some of you would have been watching my videos so far. So if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. And if you have not yet subscribed, go ahead and do so that you'd never miss any of our future lessons. As you get your pencil and paper ready, go ahead, tell me which school you're joining from. In the chat, go ahead and tell me which school you're joining us from. Just the name of your school, so I can give your school a big shout out. Hello, Danique. Hello, Rosemary, Tony, and hello. Hello, Onicia, Jahelia, Aldion. Okay. Shout out to Kensington Primary, Jericho Primary, St. Aloysius, New Green Primary, Barton's Primary. Okay, Angels Primary, Broadleaf, St. Francis, Townhead, Mount Carmel, Morris Primary, Jericho Unity, Sheffield, Runaway Bay. Welcome, Townhead Primary, Mount Liberty, Mount Salem, Balcoom Drive Primary and Infant. Welcome. Welcome everyone. Buckingham Primary, Red Hill, Discovery Bay. Welcome, Jacksonville Primary, Beulah, St. Francis, Ensom. Shout out to St. Catherine Primary, Angels Primary, Vaughnsfield Primary, Willowdean, Bonnet Primary, St. Thomas Hillview, Gibraltar, Friendship, Crescent Primary, Mount Liberty. Shout out to all of you guys from all these primary schools. Runaway Bay, good job, Jonestown. Welcome, and we'll have a lovely time as we prepare today. But before we get into the questions, I want to make sure our brain juices are flowing. So we're going to have 5 rapid response questions, and you're going to be typing your answer in the chat. So the first one to type their answer in the chat will get a shout out. First one to type the correct answer. First question, 25 plus 15. What is 25 plus 15? Welcome, Burn Savannah, Craighead Primary, Garlogie Primary, Salt Savannah, Portsmouth, Davis Primary. Welcome. All right, so I see 40 First person to type 40 was Aldine Spencer. Good job. Yes. 25 plus 15 is equal to 40. Next question. What is 7 times 6? 7 times 6. First correct answer in the chat. Novelet, good job. 42. 42, good job to the persons who are saying 42. Next question. What is 24 divided by 6? What is 24 divided by 6? First correct answer. Welcome, Scott's Pass. All right, Ralston said 4. Good job. Good job to everyone who says 4. 24 divided by 6 is equal to 4. Next question. What is half of 20? Welcome, Good Hope. What is half of 20? All right, first correct answer. Ooh, I think that one missed me. I'm seeing many persons seeing 10. Good job. First correct answer was Gabriel. Awesome, guys. Good job. Yes. Half of 20 is 10. And the last rapid response question. Using order of operations, what is 10 plus 5 times 2? What is 10 plus 5 times 2? Using order of operations. All right, I see Yashin King. Who? Carissa saying the first one to answer, saying 20. Remember, we're using order of operations, so we must multiply before we add. So 5 times 2 is 10. 10 plus 10 is 20. Good job. Good job, guys. Now, welcome again to those who joined us after our introduction. This is our first lesson for this year as we practice for the grade 6 curriculum-based task test that you'll be doing in April. For this session, we will be working on 15 questions. So I know that you're tired. Some of you went to school today, and it is basically little past 6. So we'll be doing 15 questions in this session. Now, with these 15 questions, you need to have your pencils and notebook ready so that you can all be following and working out your questions there in the chat. We will have lesson 2 tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. So 4 p.m. tomorrow. I hope to see you all again here, and also invite your friends so they can come and join with us. 4 p.m. tomorrow, Friday evening, we will be doing some more practice. And the next practice will be Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Okay, let's get ready. Let's go to our first question. The expanded form of a number is shown below. Use it to answer item 1. 2 times 1,000 plus 9 times 100 plus 5 times 10 plus 6 times 1. The question says, which represents the number in standard form? Now, I see persons saying A, B, C, D in the chat, but I want you to put your answer. So if your answer is 2,900,506, you put your answer. If your answer is 290,056, you put that answer. If your answer is 29,056, you put that answer. If your answer is 2,956, you go ahead, you put that answer. So I want to see you type your answer in the chat. I'm seeing Kade putting 2,956, and I'm seeing Novelette also doing the same thing, and Debbie Marie doing the same things. Guys, I wanted to let you know, because there are so many of you, some of the answers I may not see, okay? But I'm seeing many persons saying 2,956, like Alden Spencer and Kira. Now, let us go ahead and start working this out for those who may not have come up with that answer. So let's think about it. 2 times 1,000, that will be equal to 2,000, plus 9 times 100, that will be equal to 900, plus 5 times 10, that will be equal to 50. Help me out in the chat. Plus 6 times 1, that would be equal to 1. 2,000 plus 900 plus 50 plus 1. We have 2 in the thousands place, 9 in the hundreds place, 5 in the tens place, and, oh, right here. 6 times 1, 6. All right, thank you for that correction. 2,956. So if your answer was D, 2,956, good job. You are correct. Awesome work. Yes, Nikayla, I did. I'm happy that you guys were focusing. Thank you so much. All right, let's go to question number 2. Which name correctly represents the number? Look at the number here. Which name correctly represents the number? And here is the number. Type the name for that number in the chat, not just A, B, C, D. Premium, very good, Premium. I see that you showed working. Excellent. I love it when you show working. So thank you so much for showing working in the chat. So go ahead and type the answer for this question. Tarika says 524 in B. All right, let me see some other answers. I'm seeing Leith saying 524. So is Latonia. Norla is saying the same thing. Brianna, Kareen. All right. Vashti saying the same thing. Akila, Rain. All right. DJ Mace saying 524 as well. So is Dolores. Sabrina. Good job, guys. Paloma, Tashana. Awesome. Nesta. Very good. This number is 524. So if your answer is B, 524, you are correct. Remember, unless the answer is a picture, I want you to type your answer out in the chat. Okay? All right. Number 3. The diagram below show 2 fractions. So these diagrams below show 2 fractions. One is showing 2/9 and one is showing 5/9. We're going to use these diagrams to answer item 3. Determine the value of 2/9 plus 5/9. Put your answer in the chat. Tarika saying 7/9. Call the TSB player saying 7/9. Good job so far. Carissa 7/9. Can someone explain how they got 7/9 for their answer? Type an explanation in the chat. Malika also saying 7/9. Judith saying 7/9 as well. And so is Doreen. Annette. All right. Let me see an explanation in the chat. Yes, you add, Brianna, but what did you add? Explain to us. All right. Doreen says we add the numerator only. All right. What do we do with the denominator? Very good so far. Zoe says, since it's like fractions, you just add the top numbers, which is the numerator. Karine says you add the numerator. Norla says 7/9 because you don't add the denominator. Why? All right. Nathan says the same denominator. It stays the same, but you add the numerator. All right. Okay. Good job. Good job, guys. I like these explanations, and you are right. When the denominator is the same, we keep the same denominator, which is 9s, but we will add the numerator. So this will be equal to, the denominator remains the same. If you're adding 2 or more fractions and the denominator is the same, we never change it. We don't add them. We leave the denominator as is. And the numerator, 2 plus 5, that would be 7. So if your answer is B, 7/9, good job. You are correct. Awesome. And thank you so much for these explanations in the chat. These explanations made it easy for us to understand. Judith says she added the numerator and left the denominator, because when the denominator is the same, we leave it. All right. Okay, Gabby is saying the same thing. Kejon, good job, guys. Shano Godfrey, good job. All right. Also, Pam Beckford is saying the same thing. Good job. Awesome work, guys. Let's move on to question 4. The diagram below shows a jar with some liquid. We'll use this diagram to answer item 4. So take a look at the diagram. What percentage best represents the amount of liquid in the jar? I want you to put your answer and an explanation. So I'll be reading persons who put the answer and the explanation. I see persons saying 75%. Some persons are saying just 75. Remember, the answers are 25%, 34%, 50%, and 75%. So if you chose your answer, give an explanation why. How did you get that? All right. So I see Karine says 75 because 3/4 multiplied by 100 over 1 is 75. All right, that's good. Zoe also says the same thing. So does Karina. Awesome. Norla, good job. Thank you for these explanations, Kay and Davy. Welcome. Shout out to Kay and Davy in the room. Good job. All right. So here we also see Necia Tracy. Okay, Ochardo Ellis. Good job, guys. Let's go ahead and work this out for those who did not quite work it out like this. Good job. That's a good explanation, by the way. So some person said we have 3/4 multiplied by 100 over 1. And the reason we do this, when we're finding the percent, we would multiply the fraction by 100 over 1, because the 100 is the whole. That's the highest percentage you can get. So that's the whole, one whole. Now, here we will go and we will see what numbers or what number we can use to divide a denominator by, and the same number we can use to divide a numerator without leaving a remainder. So if we start, what could we use to divide into what? All right, I see someone says I divide 4 into 3, and that give you, okay, that's another explanation. Kuzu says I divide 4 into 3, and that gives you 0.75. All right. So tell me, what will we, people are saying 2, people are saying 4. All right. So let's use 4. 4 is our denominator. 4 divided by 4 goes, all right, Karine, 4 into 4 goes 1 time. Good job. And 4 into 100, as Lurleen is saying, goes, 4 into 100 goes how many times? 25 times. That is what Zoe White says. 25 times. Now that we have this, we can rewrite 3 times 25. And 3 times 25 is equal to 75. So our correct answer is 75%. Good work. Good work. You guys are so smart. And I love the way you try to explain your answers. All right. Let's go to the next question. Examine the set of marbles below. Use it to answer item 5. Now here's a diagram with some different kinds of marbles in it. The question says, which marble represents 50% of the set? Put your answer and also give an explanation. Which marble represents 50% of this set? What's the first thing we must think about if we're to do something like this? Okay. Someone says, who's this? Says A because there are more of them. Premium says that. Gregory says because half of 22 is 11. Karine says because there are 22 in all and the A is half, which is 50, because half of 50 is 100. Danique says because D, because 25 is quarter of 100, and then 50 of 100, then 75 of 100, and that 25 each time. I'm seeing lots of explanations here. Which marble represents 50% of 100? And guess what? I agree with most of these explanations. But let me just go right ahead and I'll work it out so everyone can notice this. Because I like to take things simple. I like to do things step by step. That way, it's difficult to make a mistake. And in your exam, it's important that you take things step by step as well. So I will start by showing the representation of the number of different kind of marbles. I'll look at the marble for A, the striped marble. But before I do that, I need to see how many marbles there are in all. So I'll count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So 22 marbles in all. How many out of the 22 are striped? Go ahead and tell me that in the chat. How many out of the 22 are striped? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 of the 22 are striped. All right. In order to change a fraction into percentage, what do we need to do? If we want to convert 11 out of 22 into percentage, what do we need to do? We need to do what? Let me see. What do we do if we want to change it into a percentage? Multiply. Gabriel says multiply by 100. Good job, Gabriel. Thank you. So here we can divide. So let's go ahead and do some simplifying. 11 divided by 11 goes 1 time. 11 into 22 goes 2 times. Now I can say 2 into 2 goes 1 time, and 2 into 100 goes 50 times. Now I have 1 times 50. 1 times 50 is equal to 50%. There we go. The first one is the correct answer. But let me quickly go through the others, because what if this wasn't A? We would have to work through them all, and we want to make sure that we have the correct answer. Here we have the white ones. Again, this will be out of 22. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 whites. So far, we know that 50% means half. And 11 is not even half of 22. It's a very small amount. So most likely it will not be 50%. But let's work that anyway. For out of 22 times 100. You can go ahead and start helping me in the chat. So I'll say 2 into 4 goes 2 times. 2 into 22 goes 11 times. All right. Okay. All right. So maybe this is not the simplest way to approach this. I'll always want to do it the simplest way for us all. So let me use a different set of numbers to divide, because maybe it's quite easier for us to divide 2 into 22 and 2 into 100. So 2 into 22 goes 11 times. 2 into 100 goes 50 times. So we'll do 4 times 50 divided by 11. 4 times 50 is 200. Divided by 11 will not be 50%. What about the purple? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The purple would be 5 of 22. Multiply by 100. 2 into 22, 11. 2 into 150. So 5 times 20 divided by 11 would not be, by 11 would not be 50%. And as you can see here, it is way less than half the amount. And if you should check on this checkered one, 1, 2. Well, 2 out of 22 times 100 would not give us 50%. All right, so for those who did not come up with the correct answer in the meantime, I hope you have taken note of this, especially how we worked out how to change a fraction into a percentage. All right, so the correct answer, as many of you had put, would be A. Good job. Allegra Jackson saying A as well. Good job. Anya, okay, that's good. All right. And that's the thing. I know many of you may have seen some of these questions, so I'm interested to see your workout. All right. Next question. The diagram below shows the ratio of the number of boys to the number of girls in a club as 3 to 9. Use the diagram to answer item 6. It says here, what percentage of the students are girls? I'll give you some time to think about this, to work this one out. Here it says, the diagram below shows the ratio of the number of boys to the number of girls. Whatever answer you give, we're talking about boys to girls. And what percentage of the students are girls? That is what is being asked. People are saying 90%, 75% in the chat. 75%. Okay. Let me see other answers. Someone is saying 25%. Someone is saying 75%. All right. All right. Vashti says 75%. All right. And so does Julie and Nathan. All right. Let us work this one out. Now we have 3 boys to 9 girls. 3 boys to 9 girls, because it says boys to girls. So 3 represents boys, as you can see here, and 9 represents girls, as you can see here. Now, let us go ahead and write this as a fraction for the girls. What fraction of this class is girls? Let me see that in the chat. All right, let me see that in the chat. What fraction of this class of this club is girls? Carolyn James says 9/12. Aldion says 3/9. Now we have a total of 12 persons in this club. 3 boys plus 9 girls gives us 12 persons in this club. In this club, it says that 9 of them are girls. 9/12. Good job, guys. 9/12. Now, we need to see what percentage is girls, and we have been converting fractions to percent, so we know that we have to multiply this by 100 over 1. So let's go ahead and start simplifying or start canceling out. 12. Let's think of a number that we can divide into these without leaving a remainder. I like to approach it by starting to cancel out this 100. So I'm seeing an explanation here. Before I go, I'll read what Alethea Brown is saying, because there's a ratio of 3 nines and all is 12. So 9 equals 12 is 75, because 3 times 4 is 12. So it is 9 3/4. So 75 is the same as 3/4. I'm just going to take some time to just look at some of these explanations before I go. Zoe says 75%, because when you look at the two of them, the boys measures 3 and the girls measure 9. So 3 plus 9 is 12, and then you're going to put 9 over 3, because you want to find out how much. Okay, let me see some of the explanations here before I go into working this out. All right, so let's go for this. So here we can say 12 divided by 4 is 3. We can say 100 divided by 4. What is 100 divided by 4? Go ahead and show me this in the chat. 100 divided by 4 would be 25. Thank you. We can still reduce 9 over 3. So we can say 3 divided by 3 goes 1. 9 divided by 3 goes 3. And here we now have 3 times 25. And persons have already explained in the chat that 3 times 25 is equal to 75. And therefore, the percentage of students that are girls is 75%. Good job, guys. Good job. Awesome work. Awesome work. Let's go to the next question. In the meantime, let's put a thumbs up in the chat if you're following so far. Things are becoming more simpler for you. Let me see a thumbs up in the chat before we move on to the next question, just to clarify that you're still here and you are following so far. All right, thank you for that. Thank you. Good job. All right, number 7 says, which of the following ratios is equivalent to 2/3? What does equivalent mean? Which of the following ratios is equivalent to 2/3? What does equivalent means? Go ahead and tell us what's the meaning of equivalent in the chat. So I want to see that before I see the answer. What's the meaning of equivalent? Someone says same. Someone says equal. I want to look at the term equal more than same. So in math, it's best if we say equal. Okay. So here I'm seeing Vanessa says equivalent is when something is equal to the answer. Okay. All right. Let's talk about equal. All right. So which of the following ratios is equivalent to 2/3? How do we find equivalent fractions? We can find equivalent fractions by doing two things. We can find equivalent fractions by doing what and what? How can we create equivalent fractions or find equivalent fractions? We can multiply, that's one way, or divide. Very good. So the first person said multiply was Rajid, was Relisha, and Kelsia says you can multiply and divide. Good job. If you said multiply and divide, awesome work. Now we have 2/3 here, and we want to find which one of these is equivalent to it. So let's go ahead. Since 2/3 is already in its simplest form, let's go ahead and we're going to do what? If it's already in the simplest form, what will we do to figure out which one of these are equivalent? Will we multiply or divide? In this case, will we multiply or, okay, Kajon says multiply. So we will multiply. So whatever we do to one part of this ratio, we must do to the next. So say, for example, we said we have 2/3 and we multiply 2 by 2. That will give us 4. We multiply 3 as well by 2. That will give us 6. An equivalent fraction would be 4/6. But we don't have 4/6 here in the answer. So let's go right ahead. Someone says divide. We could divide if we're working backwards from the answer. So 4/6. If we're going to continue to create more equivalent fractions, let's go ahead and think of the next number. We multiplied by 2 first time. Now we multiply by 3. 3 times 2 is 6. And 3 times 3 is 9. But we don't have that answer in the options here. Let's use 4. 4 times 2, 8. 4 times 3, 12. Again, we do not have this in the answer. Let's go 5. 5 times 2, 10. 5 times 3, 15. 10 to 15. And we have 10 to 15 in the answer. So a ratio from the options that we got that is equivalent to 2/3 would be 10 to 15. And guess what? I see many of you already putting this because I know that you guys are smart and you have been practicing. So I know that this will come easy for some. Good job, guys. For those who were unable to get it the first try or second try, please note that this video, as along with many others, are on this same YouTube channel. It's in the same folder, the same playlist that we're in, curriculum-based task. You can watch this video again even after this live session, and you can watch other videos for more practice in the same playlist on this channel. Now that we're almost to the middle, mangoes are my favorite fruits. What's your favorite fruit? Go ahead and type that in the chat before we move on to our next question. Mangoes are my favorite. I want to see your favorite fruit in the chat. Grapes. All right. Apples, bananas. All right. Okay. Banana. Some person mango, orange, strawberry. Good job. Pineapple. All right. That's nice. Okay. Sweet sop. Okay. I love sweet sop too. I've not had that in a long time. Let's move on to question 8. In question 8, we're looking at Venn diagram. Thank you for sharing. The Venn diagram below shows the snack that some children prefer. Use it to answer item 8. So let's look. Remember this U here means the universal set, means all the things, all the parts that we're considering. Ones who like Cheetos, ones who like Bigfoot, and the ones who don't like anything at all. Now the question says, which students like both Cheetos and Bigfoot? Where do we find that answer? Many people are saying B. All right. Is that Della? Welcome to the chat, Della. All right. So where do we find this answer? People saying B, and B is Mark, Justin, and Jane. I agree with you. I see an explanation here. Let me go to that. I see Tina K says Mark, Justin, Jane. Shanique, Chrissy says it's the intersection. Carlin says Mark, Justin, and Jane. Dean is also saying the intersection. All right. Sinardo says in the middle. All right. Very nice. Okay, Terika says Mark, Justin, and Jane because they are in the intersection. What is the intersection? What does that mean? Okay, Shamel says the intersection means that they like both chips. Okay, what's the intersection? When we have a Venn diagram, what is the intersection? All right, KK says, the question says, which students like both Cheetos and Bigfoot? So you should look at the intersection. All right, very good. I'm seeing lots of explanations here, and you are right. The middle, where both circles overlap, right here in the middle, is the intersection. And the intersection tells us what is common to both sets. So it means that Cheetos have some people who only like Cheetos, like Kay, Michael, David, and Anthony. Bigfoot as these people who only like Bigfoot, like Orville and Natasha. But in the middle here, we have people who like both Cheetos and Bigfoot, like Mark, Justin, and Jade. So if you said B, you are correct. But guess what? There are some people's names who are not in any set, like Zach, Daniel, Nate, Amanda. They don't like anything at all. They don't like Cheetos. They don't like Bigfoot. All right, so they're not in any of these sets. Good job. Now, here is the next question. Examine sets X, Y, and Z below. Use the information to answer item 9. All right. Thank you for those lovely explanations in the chat. All right. So in set X, we have 1, 3, 8. Set Y, 1, 2, 4, 8. Set Z, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. The question says, which of the following describes set Y? So we're looking at set Y, 1, 2, 4, 8. Which of the following describes set Y? Factors of 2. What are factors? Factors of 8. What are factors? Who can tell me what factors mean? What are factors? I will look in the chat to see someone explaining what are factors to me. What are factors? All right. Someone says because, Karine says because 1 can go into 8. So can 2 and 4 and also 8. Yes, you are right. So factors are all these that when we multiply them, we can get 8. Those are usually going to be the smaller numbers. But then C says multiples of 2, multiples of 8. What are multiples? Because we want to see the difference between factors and multiples. Tan Michael says factors are whole numbers that divide into another number exactly. Good. Leaving no remainder. Or 2 or more numbers that multiply together to produce a specific product. Very nice. Very good. Ralisha says when a number can be multiplied to make a number that's a factor. Let me hear about the multiples. What are multiples? Good job, guys. I hope we're also learning from our friends here. What are multiples? So I'm looking for that. Shamel is saying multiples are numbers that can go into. I'm looking for another one. Okay. Iconic says multiples are the product. So when you multiply some numbers, like Cookie is saying, you get multiples. Okay. Multiples are numbers without leaving a remainder. Let's think about that response. Multiples are the products. We can think about it like that. Multiples are the products. So set Y has 1, 2, 4, 8. This means that they're what? Factors of 2. When you multiply these numbers, you'll get 2. Of course not. So A cannot be your answer. Factors of 8. If you multiply any of these numbers, you'll get 8 without leaving remainder. I believe so. 1 times 8 equals 8. 2 times 4 equals 8. Sounds good to me. Multiples of 2 are like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So this is not multiples of 2 because 1 isn't a multiple of 2. We have multiples of 8. 1, 2, 4 aren't multiples of 8, but 8, 16, 24, and so on are multiples of 8. So if your answer is B, factors of 8, good job. Awesome work. All right. And we can also look at some of our friends in the chat and what they have explained to say. All right. Good job. Let's go to number 10. Remember, we're working on 15 questions this lesson. So we'll soon be at the end. Which diagram shows the ratio of shaded to unshaded parts as 2 to 1? Please note, it says shaded to unshaded parts as 2 to 1. Therefore, shaded to unshaded would be 2 to 1. When two parts are shaded, one part is unshaded. Which one do you think? People are saying A. Okay, people are saying B. All right. Persons are saying A, B. Someone said C as well. Okay, let us explore this. Now, as you can see here, the bigger portion is the shaded part, and that is 2 times the size of the unshaded part. The bigger portion should be shaded part, and it is 2 times the portion of the unshaded part. Let us look at A. So far, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 squares are shaded. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that are unshaded. So far, the bigger part is shaded and the smaller part is unshaded, just like this. So 2 times the unshaded should give you the shaded part. 6 times 2 will give us 12. So this is clearly 2 to 1. All right, but let us look at B. B has 1 shaded part, 2 unshaded part. This is wrong because the bigger part in B is unshaded. In C, we have 3 shaded to 3 unshaded. It's the same. That's also incorrect because it should be a ratio of 2 to 1. In D, we have 2 shaded to 3 unshaded. That's also incorrect because we should have more shaded parts than unshaded. So if your answer was A, you are correct. Awesome. Good work, guys. Good work. Good job. I'm seeing many people saying A, and I hope that you all understood what we just explained. Let's move on to the next question. Thank you for your focus and for paying attention. And I can also see that your teachers are doing a wonderful job with you in class so far, because I can see many people working quickly, many people able to explain, and persons are saying that they saw a question like this before. All right. The diagram below shows 2 similar rectangles. Use it to answer item 11. 2 similar rectangles. Similar. What does that mean? What does similar mean? Who can put the meaning for similar in the chat? I'm happy you do, Mejan Marriott. Okay. What does similar mean? If we're talking about rectangles and we say similar rectangles, what does that mean? Similar rectangles. And in your definition, I'm looking for a specific word. What does similar mean when we're talking about similar rectangles? Okay, Lee said 2 things in common. So I want to see an explanation. Shamel says they have something in common, but what do they have? KK says alike or same. Angela says like or same. Rosemary saying compare. Cookie says they look alike. Tashana says alike. Many people are saying alike. Premium says they are the same shape. But same does not mean similar, but close. Okay, someone said congruent, but not quite. But those are 2 terms that we can think about when we think about similar, okay? All right, so let us break this down. Let me see if I see anything more in the chat that could bring us close to that meaning. Now, when we're thinking about similar, we want to talk about proportion. In grade 6, you may have learned this word already, proportion. So here it says, what is the ratio of AB to EF? And I want to identify AB. to EF. Now, when we're thinking of these similar triangles, we want to check to see, when we think about the ratio, we want to see the proportion of one rectangle to the next. And since they're talking about this side, we're going to talk about the proportion or the ratio of this side to the next side. AB to EF. The length of AB would be how many units? Count with me. How many units? The length of AB. 1, 2, 3. And the length of EF would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3 to 6. So the ratio would be 3 to 6. But if you notice, this ratio can be written in a simpler form. Also, all right, thank you, Christine, 3 to 6, you are correct. But if you also notice that in the responses, we have the simplest forms. So let us put this in the simplest form. So in order to do that, we think of a number that we can divide into each part of this ratio. So we can use 3 because 3 can go into 3 without leaving a remainder. 3 can go into 6 without leaving a remainder. So we'll divide by 3. 3 into 3 goes 1 time. 2. 3 into 6 goes 2 times. So the ratio for these similar triangles, AB, similar rectangles, AB to EF, would be 1 to 2. Good job. Yes, it can be simplified. That's something I like, when you notice that things can be simplified. Most of these questions may ask for the simplest version of it. Good job. Now we are about to move to the next question. Remember, you can always watch this video later so you can get a better understanding of these questions. And the more practice you do, the more prepared you will be for your exam coming up soon. Number 12. Let's move on to number 12. The diagram below represents the number 200. This diagram represents 200. We're going to use this diagram to answer item 12. All right, we'll use this to answer item 12. What is 80% of the number? What is 80% of the number? Let me see if you can put your answer plus the explanation in the chat. So what I'm looking for here is answer and explanation in the chat. All right, answer plus explanation in the chat. What is 80% of the number? So that's what I'm looking for. All right. Stephanie says 80 divided by 100 times 200 over 1. Awesome, Stephanie. Very good. I love this explanation so far. All right. So let's start with what you said so we can work that out. Because that's a great explanation, by the way. So you said we will have 80 divided by 100. Because if we're representing 80% as a fraction, this is what it will look like. And since the number the number we're talking about is 200, and we want to find 80% of 200, we have to multiply this by 200. 80% by 200. And we can put it over 1 as a placeholder. And then we will simplify. Then we will cancel out things, okay? So 100 divided by 100 goes 1 time. 100 into 200, or 200 divided by 100, goes 2 times. So we're left with 80 times 2. What is 80 times 2? I can see Malik showing all of this explanation there in the chat as well. Good job, Malik. Good job, Andre. Good job, Shanieka. Very nice. All right, so 80 times 2 would be equal to 160. So if your answer, what is 80% of 200, is 160, you are correct. Very good. And remember, for every question, you must work it out. When you're in the test, work it out. And your workout, it's best to leave it right next to the question. That's always good for you if you leave your workout there. Now, let me see what these persons wrote. Cookie says 160 because when you want to find the number, you put the number with the percentage over 100 times the number. Carolyn says, so you multiply 10 over 100 times 200 over 1. You can cancel the zeros. When you multiply the numbers, when you get, which gets you to 20, and multiply the denominators, will get you with 1. So the answer will be 20 over 1. All right, I'm looking at these explanations here. Shanos Godfrey also showed some workout. Good job, guys. Now we have 3 questions remaining. And before we go, can you tell me which parish your school is located in? Go ahead and tell me which parish your school is located in. All right. I'm seeing some explanations here. And I'm happy, Iconic, that you're seeing how to correct your incorrect answers. No problem. Okay, welcome Manchester, Clarendon, St. Thomas, St. Catherine, Kingston, Westmoreland. Okay, St. Anne. All right. St. Andrew, Hanover, Westmoreland. Welcome, guys. It's good to see you guys here. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Welcome from St. James, St. Thomas, Manchester. All right. Westmoreland, St. Catherine. All right. Tomorrow I will see you guys at 4 p.m. Let's go to question 13. Examine the diagram below, and we're using it to find question or item 13, which says which of the following shows how you calculate the total area that is shaded. We're looking at the shaded area. And this question wants you to show me how you will set it out. How you will calculate the total area that is shaded. All right. I'm seeing some letters coming in like A's, B's, and so on. But I want you to type this out in the chat because persons who joined late are still working on their questions and their answers are also mixing with the ones from this question. All right. So I see Andre says 3/4 times 3 equals 9/4. I see Stephanie saying the same thing. All right. And Pam also saying the same thing. Okay. All right. Now let's take a look at this. We have 3 shapes or 3 fractions showing. We have one here showing 1, 2, 3, 3/4. We have another one showing 3/4 and 3 of them showing 3/4. In order to calculate the total, we can add 3/4 plus 3/4 plus 3/4. But simply, we can just multiply 3/4 3 times. That's how we will get our answer. So 3/4 times 3 will be equal to 3 times 3. That is equal to 9. And remember, the parts are quarters. So we have 4 for our denominator. 9/4. Because all we're doing is adding all the quarters that are shaded. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9/4 are shaded. All of the parts are quarters. So if you said A, you are correct. Good job. All right, let's go to question 14. Now this one will take a good amount of explanation, and I'm excited to see your explanations in the chat. The diagram below shows how much a tree that was planted has grown over a period of time. We'll use this diagram to answer item 14. So this diagram is showing how much a tree that was planted has grown over a period of time. It is showing us how it was when it was planted. It was 3.8 meters tall, but today it is 1.5 meters tall. The question says, in which model does the shaded area correctly represent how much the tree has grown? We can think about answering some of these questions by using elimination. So you can clearly see some of the answers and know that they are not correct. You can work by elimination. Okay, shout out to Leona. All right, so if we take a look at A, I'll just wait a little bit for persons to maybe put some explanations in the chat. I'll look at A, I'll look at B, C, and D. If you select an answer, go ahead and put your explanation in the chat. All right. So since you got this question before, go ahead, tell us your answer and explain how you got that answer. Why is that answer correct? Okay. All right. All right. So you can tell me the ones that are wrong, but if you tell me it's wrong, it is not correct. You tell me why. And if it's correct, you tell me why. All right. So that's what I want to see here. I'm seeing persons telling me what the answer is or what the answer is not, but how do you know? So I'm seeing Nisia saying D because when adding 2 halves to 3/8, you get 1 3/8. Then you add 1/8 and you get 1 4/8, which is also a half. That's what she says. Aldion says multiply 3 times 1/8, which is 3/8. But which one is correct or which one is not? D, because it is not exactly drawn to scale. Okay, but I want some other explanations. Let me hear from persons. Because half plus a half, that's what Amir says, so it's D, that's what Amir says. Okay, so let's go through this one by noticing something. Here, if you note, we're looking for which one shows the growth. A shows 1/8, 2/8, 3/8. But that is not the growth, that is where the tree started. The first, when the tree was planted, that is its height. So A cannot be correct for that reason. Let's look at B. We have the growth being shown as 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8. And if we subtract 3/8 from 1.5, it won't be 5/8 because 3/8 and 5/8 give us 1 whole. And this is showing more than a whole. This is showing 1 whole and half more. So this is showing 1.5. So we know that B could not work because the tree is not 1 meter tall now. That would have been 3/8 plus 5/8. So A and B cannot work. Let us look at C. Again, the growth is not 1, 2, 3/8, so that is wrong. We're left with D now. Here it is showing 1, 2, 3/8, not the part selected for growth. But in 3/8, we know that 3/8 is made up of 8/8. Here, 1/8 plus the 3/8 already will give us half. So the whole can be divided into 3 halves, like this. This is 1 of the half, 2 of the halves, 3 of the halves. 1.5 meter tall today. But out of that 1.5, it started with this 3/8. So the remainder part from 1/8 all the way to the end here would show the growth. So if your answer is D, that is just a simple explanation of how to get your answer. So sometimes you have questions like these. It's best to use the strategy to eliminate so that you can come up with your answer. Okay, good job for those who did this, whose answer is D. And for those who didn't get D straight away, I hope now you understand and you have learned at least a strategy that you can use to eliminate wrong answers. Now to our final question. Examine the bar and the information given about the bar below. Given that this is our final question, I want you to take some time because I want explanations to this. So this bar here, as you can note it, as you can see, it says the bar is divided into 15 equal parts. 15 equal parts. The bar represents 100% of a number. So the whole bar from the beginning straight to the end, 100% of a number. The shaded part of the bar represents 20. As you can see here, this part represents 20. 20 is 40% of the whole number. Now, we're going to use this bar and this information about the bar to answer this question. It says which number represents 100% of the bar. So I want you to tell me which number represents the whole of this bar. This whole bar is equal to what number? That's what the question is asking. The whole bar is equal to what number? And how do we know? I see persons saying 60 in the chat. I see persons saying 50 in the chat. I see persons saying 15 in the chat. Okay, I'm seeing an explanation here. Shamil Simmons says B because 6 is 20. And if you count 6 more, you will get 20. And if you add 20 plus 20, you will get 40. And the rest, okay. What's the rest? Because I love this explanation, by the way, Shamil. This is a good explanation. Okay. That's a good explanation, Shamil. But I also want you to tell me, and the rest what? What is it that you wanted to say at the end? Zane Grant says if 20 is 40%, then 80% is 40. Okay. Then 20% is 10. Wow, this is a lovely explanation as well. Therefore, 80 plus 20 is equal to 100. So 40 plus 10 is equal to 50, which is 100%. Good job. Shamel and Zane, you gave me some beautiful explanations here. Good work. Good work. And guess what? I already have my explanation, but your explanations are very well. I'll just go through using your explanations and mine because you explained well. All right. So let's take a look here on the board for those who are wondering how we got 50 and those who said 15, how you can change your answer by doing it over to get the correct answer, as well as those who said 60. Karine also shows a good explanation too. Now let's go through here. It's someone says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is 20. So it means then that if 6 is equal to 20, we can count out another 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That means from here to here is another 20. I'll start by adding these 20 plus this new 20. Now, if six of these parts is equal to 20, what would 3 parts be equal to? If 6 is equal to 20, what is 3 equal to? Let me see that response in the chat. If 6 is equal to 20, what is 3 equal to? Good job, DJ Mace. Good job, Latonia, Reggie, My Time, Alicia, very good. Najee, very good. 3 is equal to 10. So 1, 2, 3 right here would be equal to 10. Now we can add 10 more to what we have. So we first have the 20, second 20, and then 10. 20 plus 20 is equal to 40. And 40 plus 10 is equal to 50. Therefore, the whole bar is equal to 50. The number that they're asking for is 50. Good job. Now, guys, today you have done a very good job exploring these questions. Excellent. And I'm very proud of your efforts. Very proud of your workability as well. Now, I saw people sharing their responses in the chat, and I'm especially proud of those who were able to use an explanation to help us to understand their answer. Always think of an explanation. Always think about how to justify your answer so you can be sure. I want you to keep practicing at home. And as I said before, I have a playlist on my channel that is called a curriculum-based task. I also have for ability tests, and you can go right on this channel. You can select those playlists and you can see many, many more questions that might come on that test. Okay, so the more you practice, the more you'll prepare. At home, go ahead, continue to practice more, challenge yourself. Now that we are at the end, I want to thank you for joining. It was very good exploring with you today. If you have not yet done so, go ahead and like this video, share with your friends so they can see what they missed out. And also, subscribe so you can see our next video on our channel. You'll keep up to date. Thank you so much for joining. I'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. after school. Take care and bye.